Here we are. And we're here with a special guest today. Can you please introduce yourself? We're asking for names, what you do, and what you had for breakfast.
Oh shit. Putting me on the spot already.
Yeah.
What if I didn't eat breakfast?
That's...
You didn't eat anything today?
No, I just went straight to lunch. I woke up and went straight to lunch.
No, that's fine. What'd you eat for lunch?
I had
hold on. We haven't got your name yet, bro.
yeah,
You skipped
yeah.
steps.
Start one.
I'll backtrack at it.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'm Jimmy V. I'm a film director, a creative director. Yeah, those are the two main things that I do. And I guess what I ate, I just went to lunch at Canteen, which is a Hong Kong spot, and I had Hainan chicken. It's a classic dish, you know?
Yeah, round of applause for Hainan chicken.
One of my favorites.
Let's go.
Truly. Yeah.
I actually don't know what Hainan chicken is. I'm gonna need you to break it down for me.
It's just honestly like a freaking boiled chicken. That's literally it.
Boiled
On
chicken?
rice, and there's a seasoning that's ginger, scallion, oil.
Okay.
In Cantonese, it's called geng chong. That's the thing that kind of gives it the flavor.
Norby, what's it called?
Good luck, dog. Good luck.
This isn't about me.
Yeah, no, it's a classic dish, and it's one of my favorites.
Went straight to lunch.
Runs. Yeah, just
Is
went
that-
straight to lunch.
When you boil chicken, it kind of braises, right? You can like pull it apart. It almost turns, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a normal thing? Do you usually skip breakfast? We've had that a lot today, by the way. You're not the first one who's like, I skip breakfast.
Yeah, these days, yeah, I usually do.
Yeah, I was obsessed
When I'm traveling, though, for some reason, I always eat breakfast. But I mean, I guess it's always kind of like, yeah, I just got to eat as much as I can because I'm not there, you know?
Yo, I'm gonna take over this one because Norby's been talking about breakfast all day. All right, let's go straight to something proper interesting. Jimmy, we initially became aware of you because we were trying to do some like video work for the projects we were working on, and then we chatted about it. But I was also, we were looking into all the work you'd done up till then, and you've just exploded since, like, in just terms of volume of work since, what was that, like a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
What's
Known you for a while now.
what's the
Is
last
that what
year?
it looks like?
Hey, man, you've done a lot of
I've
work.
done a good job,
Yeah,
Yeah,
guys.
you've done a lot of work in the last year and a half.
Instagram's popping off.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the last year and a half been looking like?
Last year and a half, honestly, it's just about getting my shit together. That's literally
We've all been
it.
getting our shit together.
Yeah.
Be more specific.
What does that mean for you?
Making sure I have food on the table,
Sure.
a roof over my head, and also fulfilling myself creatively and just doing shit that I actually want to do.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
going back to just making things for the sake of making things.
Yeah.
And
What was-
being with people that I think is on my same level of just energy and
Mhm.
things that I want to do and the same vibe and just good people.
What was the most fulfilling thing you did recently
Recently, it's probably that Nike project that I did.
for Capsule?
Yeah, for Capsule. That
Mm.
one was fun because it was like, they just asked me to make something for Toronto.
Nice.
And it was like the most
Wow.
open brief.
That was the brief? Make
I
something
saw
for
that
Toronto?
thing
Yeah.
everywhere, by the way.
It was everywhere. Yeah.
it was
No, that's the whole
literally
point.
everywhere.
Yeah, running up the ads.
That's good. That's
That's what was
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
So the brief was literally make something for Toronto?
Yeah. Usually Nike's a little more prescriptive. They usually have like a formula of like what you kind of need to do and what do you need to create. But this time they were just kind of like, hey, we're making a shoe for your city
Nice.
for Air Max 95s. And then they're like, this is what your city is. And they were like, concrete, cold,
Oh,
like
Oh, great.
multicultural.
Thanks,
they were
yeah,
telling you.
thanks.
Yeah. It was on the brief. It was on the. It's
Yeah,
like
thanks,
a bunch
guys.
of keywords, and like,
okay.
and then they said something about like the white squirrel, and like at the time I like didn't know. Like I knew there was something there, but I didn't know what the fuck it was. And then like I was kind of just brain rotting on like TikTok. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos, the ones where it's like the cat cams where they're like the cat.
Yeah.
It's like on their collar. They walk around
Sure,
the
sure.
neighborhood. It's cute as fuck.
Yeah.
They meet up with all their cat homies.
Yeah.
I saw that
You know
video.
about cats.
I know about Cats,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I know a thing
oh
or two.
shit. Yeah. I guess I think like I mean I always do this, but like that thing just kind of made me think about it. I'm like, shit, why don't we just fucking do that? Like
That's
just
cool.
literally just make a squirrel.
Yeah.
The white squirrel.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Walk around the city and meet
I
up
saw a
with all
bunch
his
of familiars
homies.
in there too. That was that
Yeah.
was kind of
Yeah.
cool.
How do you pull people together for a video like that? Like, I guess people that we would recognize at least in the city.
Oh, that was hard.
Would you
I
just
think,
call favors and be like, hey, I need you in this video?
Yeah, no, it was all favors. It's literally all favors and friends. Like we gave people some clothes and whatnot, but it was a tight project in terms of budget. But yeah, honestly, shout out to Johan. He's our producer. He was like the casting guy. He was good. He literally just fucking casted all of our friends.
Yeah.
And that was my main ask. Was like, they got to meet people that are relevant in the city that like we know of, at least in our circle. Of course, I can't capture the entire city,
Yeah.
but the people that I know,
Yeah.
there were a bunch of people that we wanted to cast that couldn't come through because of it being last minute and all. But yeah, we just casted our friends. That's
Mhm.
literally it. And it was funny. Like everywhere that we went to, like we bumped into someone. Someone was like, "Oh shit, what are you doing?" And then we were like, "Oh shit, we're just filming." Like literally every location that we stopped at, it was hilarious.
That's good.
Nice.
Improv.
When was this film?
About a month and a half ago.
Quick
Not even that
turnaround,
long.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
super quick
fast. It was
turnaround.
fast.
And so, like, who's someone that you wanted in the video that you couldn't get for whatever reason, whether it's scheduling or maybe budget constraints?
There were a few musicians and artists that I wanted to pull through, but timing wise, it just didn't work out. I don't know if I can drop their names. To be honest, 'cause they're
drop
so-
them.
kind of I don't know if I'm gonna choose not to because they're a little bit high profile artists,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
and they're friends of mine. It's just that was just bad. It was just so tight the turnaround.
sure,
and
fair
they were
enough.
so busy that they just couldn't pull up, but they would have. But they just couldn't. Yeah, those people. And then there was also this one guy. His name's Jamal. He used to go by J Scale, but Jamal Berger. He's like a director now.
Okay.
He's really cool. He's like does Kickback Connect. I think it's like a sneaker basketball organization for kids and youths. Really cool. He was very pivotal in like the Street Dreams era. Remember that time?
Yeah,
The fucking
totally.
roof topping.
Street Dreams.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I
It
think
was
that's like
like
the audience remember that.
yeah, literally like it was just like rooftoppers, and it was like Street Dreams mag was like a big thing, and he was part of that era where a lot of those people grew up, and yeah, he was very pivotal in my career of like being Instagram like a creative person in general. Seeing him do it, but yeah, him. Other than that, yeah, just other friends that I wish we could have came through.
That will not be named.
Yeah,
You guys
that should
can,
not
they
be
can
named.
guess. Everyone
they
can guess who it was.
They can guess.
Who might
If
confirm
I-
or deny?
If I had the option, I would have just brought like fucking 100+ people.
We should have, man. One of the shots should have just been a stadium of
Yeah, literally.
faces.
Organizing
Phil or
folks.
Canada Center.
It's always tricky.
You talked about budget as well, being tight for this one. Do you remember the first time you ever did a video where you had a budget?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a music video that I did that didn't get released. Sadly, that was a whole other story. Shit,
That's not an old story.
that's a whole story in itself. Yeah, that was the first time. It was a great video though. I loved it, and it was the first time I actually got like a full blown like at least like a couple $1,000s to make something happen.
What'd you spend it on?
Oh fuck, we built like a whole sci-fi set.
Oh,
An entire sci-fi set. It was cool. I thought it was sick as shit. We like rented out like what the fuck's that restaurant? There was a restaurant that had like these crazy neon lights that we rented out.
McDonald's. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we did that. And that's where we spent a lot of our money and a lot of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spent a lot on wardrobe and like dressing everyone else. So they were kind of like, it wasn't like full-blown sci-fi. It was like kind of like hip-hop sci-fi. It was like streetwear mixed with sci-fi.
Ooh.
So it was kind of like its own look.
How long ago was this?
That was like early on in my career. I was like
Big
6
artist?
years
Small
ago.
artist? Somebody we would know?
Decently sized artist.
Yeah?
Yeah, someone you would probably know. If you grew up in the SoundCloud era,
Oh, we're just talking about SoundCloud era.
if you guys were listening to music heavily in the SoundCloud era,
Yeah.
you would definitely know them. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't say it. I'll tell you off camera. I'll tell you off camera, but I can't say it on
Alright.
camera right now.
All right, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yo, we've been talking to folks a lot about just like directly what they're up to, but the entire day I've been waiting to talk to you about just film and movies. So,
Yeah.
So hit me. What's interesting to you right now?
What's interesting to me right now?
It doesn't have to be right now. Just what has compelled you over the last little bit in terms of other people's work, even if it's bigger budget stuff, more indie production work. Like,
Yeah.
It's been cool.
I think that the interesting part about me is like whenever anyone asks me about like the films and things that I watch, I'm not really interested in the films.
Okay.
I'm more interested in the life that I'm seeing around me and the things that I'm interacting and how people are interacting in their own lives.
Sure.
And to me, film, photography, art, all those forms of media, painting, whatever it is, those are just expressions of how you're understanding life.
Okay.
So I guess in a way, the things that I'm interested in right now is just like, I just like sheer drive to do things and people's willingness to go far.
Mhm.
I think that's one thing that I'm like really interested in myself, and just like people's determination to do something and how far they're willing to push themselves until they just can't any
Okay.
longer. And then even when they think they can't, how are they still doing it again?
So is there a project
Wow.
coming off of that right now somewhere? Something
Um,
conceptualized?
I think there's one thing that I'm writing. It's like a short/feature, and it's about a Vietnamese gangster.
Mm.
It's about my life, but Yeah.
Is it you're the gangster? Yeah.
No, 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 no. I'm
Let's
not
talk
the
about
gangster.
that.
No way, no way. My family grew up in a lot of like the gang life.
Mm.
A lot of like the triads. They were dealing like hard drugs and
In town,
gang
like
things.
Toronto.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And
When you say family, is it like mom and dad are gone out a little bit too late, and you're like, "Where's some?"
yeah, yeah. My whole family.
Yeah.
It was a whole fucking operation.
So what's this
Like,
project like?
it's just a short film about like fatherhood, and I think for me it's about understanding why my dad did the things that he did, and why he sacrificed so much and how he got involved in these things, and it's about his relationship and with having a kid
Mhm.
and trying to make a living for them and doing it in a way that he knows how to.
Right.
But in a sense, for me, it's like me trying to understand why he's doing it and make sense of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But the only problem is that it's a really expensive film to make.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
A couple million for
Yeah, okay.
sure.
So it's like a feature film level. Okay.
yeah, it's basically like a Moonlight film, but for Asian
Okay.
gangsters.
Yeah.
Fire.
Viet gangsters. It's in that
Can't
same
wait.
poetic, like slow, drawn out, very cinematography, like very beautiful cinematography.
Yeah.
That'd be a sick movie for what it's worth. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be-
Yeah, yeah.
And if you've
I
seen
think so
Jimmy's work,
too,
you know it's
yeah.
gonna be fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
How do you go about trying to fund something like that? I mean, that sounds like an astronomical figure to work with.
Finish the project first.
Would you have to pilot it first, or
Kind of. No, like it's weird because I would have to be entered a whole thing of like unions and like being part of the DGC, which means I
Okay.
have to get a certain amount of hours of screen time and narrative work. It's a whole process, and then I have to get an agent to sell it to, and then I have to talk to a studio to basically buy the film,
yeah?
and then get development funds from places like Telefilm, Canada Arts Council, things like that, Ontario Arts Council.
Holy,
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Process.
yeah.
It's a whole process. Yeah. That's I don't know. It makes these are things that I'm just kind of doing on the side. They're long-term things, but I do a lot of stuff that's a lot shorter
Okay.
because those are
So
stuff that's more attainable.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon right now?
Right now, I'm working with an artist named Danielle Andrade,
Mhm.
just doing her creative direction, focusing on that. We shot a bunch of like music videos, did a bunch of press photos, made a bunch of merch, designing things, but it's not like typical merch. It's not like t-shirts and shirts and whatnot. We're like making jewelry. We're making flip books.
Ooh.
We're making we're just making products. Just doing that stuff with her, making a lot of that. Other than that, looking for the next thing to shoot. Right. I have a ton of ideas that are always just in the bank. So yeah.
How much of your work is stuff that you just want to do because you want to do it versus like people need you to film them something?
Recently, it's been a lot more of people just need me to film stuff because I've decided in my life that I need to make a living. If I had the option, I would just make as much and do as like all the fun art stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there is a way to do it. It's just you need a bit of money to start
Mhm.
doing those things. Yeah.
Mhm.
Stuff. I feel like a lot of the music scene is like it is upheld by grants in Canada, which is kind of dying out soon. But do you feel like film operates in the same way, where everyone's kind of relying on
exact
grants
same
and like the
way.
infrastructure of what film can? Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah,
way?
it's the exact same way.
Yeah.
Exact same way. We all rely on basically the same grants. Where you guys have Factor, we have Telefilm. It's the
Mhm.
same thing. Yeah. But it's all in the grant system. It's weird. It is dying out, but like at the same time, I am thankful to be here because like Canada is the only place in the world that has grants for
Yeah,
arts
that's true
things in
too.
general. Like I talk to my friends in Asia, like Europe, wherever. Like
Yeah.
they're like, grants. You guys get money from the government? I'm like, yeah. Like you guys
It
don't.
is kind of ridiculous on the surface, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
sure.
I guess blessing and a curse in some ways.
It
We
is.
have the grants because there's no private money in these industries for
hmm
early people. So, yeah, I guess good and bad. Okay, so this is a question I've actually wanted to ask you for a long time because since we started talking about like boys' loan work, at the time we had no video pedigree at all. Like didn't
Ground
understand-
zero.
didn't understand hiss all about like what goes into composition, what's going to go into the actual production work, how to achieve looks, what a look is even. Like
Yeah.
we could sparsely appreciate what we were watching, but beyond that it was pretty much foreign. And you've been at this for, I don't know, I'm taking a guess here, but I'm going to say from what you said, like 6 to 7 years.
Yeah. I'm
And,
leading
like,
on like 8 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 6, 7, 8 years. At some point, you made a conscious decision that this was going to be something this was a skill you were going to build. Going into it early on, did you have references? Did you have people that you were asking a lot of questions, or was it very much like, I like this work, I'm going to try and emulate it, and you just kind of keep fumbling through until something kind of emerges?
I think it was a combination of everything.
Sure.
I think the main thing for me is that like I came from a very interesting place because I went to OCAD
Mm.
and I did something very specific, which was advertising.
Okay.
And like, yeah, it's commercial.
Right.
And got to make money. But
Sure.
the one thing that I think really blessed me about OCAD is it taught me how to write decks.
Mm.
That is my fucking bloodline.
Yeah.
Like without
Yeah.
that, if I don't write a good deck, I'm not getting anything done. Nothing's being sold through. No one's going to get my idea because a deck, all it is a tool that you use to communicate your idea.
Yeah.
And if you can't communicate your idea, no one's going to get it.
I'm
And
a
no one's
huge
gonna wanna
advocate of
buy
papering things for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for me, like when I got into film, to answer your question a little bit more, it was kind of just like Googling my way there. I understood like art is simple
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like you have an idea, you need to communicate that outwards in order
Sure.
to get that consumed in some way, whether you're selling it or just for the sake of consumption from viewership.
Sure.
It's just about communicating that outwards.
Right.
So if I apply that same logic to different mediums, it's just about learning the language in those mediums. So if
Right.
it's about film, it's just about learning things like what the hell does ISO means or ASA, like what is a PL mount? Like that's just language.
Once that initial work was done, you had that vocabulary and
Yeah.
like basic understanding. What was the next step for you? Where did you get like properly
Yeah.
free and creative?
I think being able to do something with it
Right.
was
yeah.
a difference.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
for
study
sure.
it. I was basically like studying a textbook.
Sure.
Basically, I did
Yeah.
like the whole podcasts, YouTube, Googling my way through filmmaking.
Right.
And then after I felt confident enough, it was just about like, okay, now let's make what I know and just make it into a deck.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what a treatment was even when I first did it.
Sure.
And then I wrote it and sent it to some DPs. And I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. And I kind of just talked my way through it with the whatever language that I learned, the photography things that I knew
Right.
beforehand with lighting and contrast and just communicating my overall feeling for things.
Sure.
Mm.
But yeah, that's kind of how I did it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Step your deck game up. That's the long story
Step
short.
your
Yeah.
deck game up,
That's
yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah. Just learn how to
Awesome.
communicate your ideas and talk about them,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that applies to like all mediums.
which is
almost.
hard. That's fucking hard.
That's
Oh, it is.
probably the
Really
hardest
fucking
part of it.
It's the
right?
hardest
So you take it for
Yeah.
granted when you know how to do it and someone around you doesn't.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
easy to quickly
Yeah,
get
yeah.
frustrated and you're like,
Especially when you're working with a team, right? They got to be able to communicate that idea to everyone on the team, so everyone's on the same page and they know what their role is.
Yeah, exactly. And not everyone's an artist too. So like you have to be able to talk about the things in your ideas to non-artists. And
Right.
that in itself is a skill.
yeah. Fair
Yeah.
enough. You
For
can't be
sure.
super nebulous and emotional about things. You got to be able to turn it into like steps, I guess.
Yeah.
So if I hear you when you say you're not consuming too much film right now and it's not your main source of inspiration, but at
Mm.
some point, I imagine you enjoyed film and movies and whatever format, whether it's like featurette, vignettes, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there anything early on that you can point back to and say, hey, like that was something that I actively was chasing or like trying to do?
I think it because of the age in which I grew up in, I watch a lot of things shot on film, like
Right.
actual analog.
Okay.
And I think because of that, my eye trained itself to really appreciate that look and feel.
Okay.
So that's
Nice.
kind of what my work has kind of divulged into. It's having that sort of analog feel. I'll
Yeah.
do whatever it takes to fucking shoot it on film.
Yeah.
I'll make it happen.
You're,
Sure.
you're,
Or
you're a
emulate
bit
as
of a
much as
film
I can.
snob now, right? You're
I
like,
am.
yeah,
I
yeah.
am. I am. There's just something about it. It's just
Yeah.
like, just gives it a sense of character that it just gives it that digital can't. You can
Sure.
emulate to some degree, but like it's
Yeah,
not exactly the same. But yeah,
I've gone this rabbit hole of like digital emulations of film of just people doing their absolute best to find like
Yeah.
whatever it is. I mean, because again, you're shooting against a sensor, so you don't have to worry about like daylight correction or tungsten light correction, all that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. But it's been fun. Like we even just that, like we're shooting digital 100% of the time, just because of
Oh, yeah.
budgets and speed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we're very conscious. Like if I know I'm gonna grade this thing to be like, I don't know, like Cinestill 800T corrected, I'll put color filters right in front of the lens just to start from the rip there. And I think that part of it is still really fun for me. It's like I still enjoy, I guess, tampering with that stuff, because of all the movies and stuff that I've watched that have just like gone above and beyond to
Yeah.
achieve these very particular looks. And I mean, I could name 50 examples right now, but whatever. It's a huge rant that no one wants to hear.
Yeah. No, I get you. I feel like for me, it's never really about the camera that you shoot it on, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times. But it's really what's in front of the lens that really makes the look of a film and what a film is.
Yeah.
Or a music video. It's the most important part. Yeah, I think the things that I like are just very rich in front of the lens.
Rich in
life, sometimes
Content.
production design and concept
Okay.
and narrative and what they're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not going to drop any names, but we were talking to some guy like way back about doing a video, and he's like, we spent $10,000 to shoot this video this day, and then we actually went and watched that video. I think you know exactly who I'm talking about.
I do.
Dude,
Well, we're not naming names.
no.
Okay.
I was like, brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. He spent $10,000 to
10K,
put
yeah.
a fucking Ari Flex on a crane to do this a couple times. I'm like,
Oh God, no.
at the end of the day, people can charge what they want to charge, right? It's what you think the work is valued at.
Yeah, it's
so
what you
like,
value it as.
it's brutal though, man. Like,
Yeah, I think it's just different perspectives. I think all it is like you're thinking it's brutal in your perspective, but to him, it might be the thing that's like worth it. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. It's just,
look, I'm all for being nice to people,
Yeah,
but that one is.
we're not naming names anyways.
Yeah, we're not
matter,
naming
but-
names, so roast them.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, what's in your mind? Like, how do you go about pricing your work?
Ooh, don't give away that sauce, bro.
No.
oh,
Nah, keep the pricing sauce tight.
All right, we'll cut that. Maybe here's a different way to frame it. What's the biggest budget you've worked with?
There we go.
probably like 300K.
Holy shit.
Yeah, my
Well-
budgets have been going up recently, and like I'm not gonna drop the names, but I've been getting pitches and offers to do stuff in like the 2-3 millions.
Yeah.
God damn.
What do
in
those productions
commercials.
look like? in pitch?
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge. It's basically like a movie.
Is there anything lost when you get to something that big? I guess you don't have. You got to make decisions ahead of time. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I already do that,
Sure.
so not really.
Okay.
I think the only thing that's lost maybe is the amount of people you have to go through.
Mm.
Your teams and everything that you're doing is much bigger, so you have
Sure.
to communicate on a much larger scale.
For
Right.
sure.
Yeah,
What do those pitches look like to you? Because I assume they're coming to you and saying like, Jimmy,
They're
we want you to
saying-
work on this, and we have
the
X
same.
amount of
I
budget.
wish it
No
was
more
different.
detail.
I wish it was different. It's the same. It's all the same.
It's all
Yeah.
the same. And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
It's a
man.
good thing, I
Okay,
think.
okay.
The part of the only thing that's different is the people that I'm going against. Although honestly, even then after COVID, it's the same too. Because now those directors that were on those $2-3 million budget commercials are pitching against me on my $20,000, $30,000, $100,000, $200,000 commercials
Really?
because work is so hard to come by.
Wow.
It
Really
is.
hard to come by.
Is that a locality
The
thing, or
dog
is
eat
it
dog.
just
No, it's just
demand
it's
thing?
the entire industry.
Wow.
It's you can't tell me otherwise. We're in a recession. There's no fucking way. Like guys, we're straight up in a recession. You can't
Yeah.
literally
Just look at the film industry.
look at everything. No, just look at everything.
Leading
Yeah,
indicator. of
Yeah,
recession,
Like
for
literally
sure.
look at everything. I
You
think
can look at anything creative, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're bricked.
the creative spaces has always been sort of in shambles in a way.
yeah.
In a mental shamble and in a financial shamble.
Yeah.
That's insane. And so, like, how do they usually approach you for these sorts of projects? I mean, is it always you having to put a deck together and pitching yourself as or are they already familiar with your portfolio and being like, Jimmy, we want you to work on this?
Yeah, most of those bigger budget ones, they've been overseas because they're the only place that have budgets like
Mm.
that. So a lot of them are in Asia, Hong Kong, and China, Shanghai specifically.
Mm.
And they just have seen my work through a piece. It was
Sure.
a Zeiss piece that I did in Japan.
Oh,
They've
I
seen
saw that. That was nice.
Thanks.
I saw that. That was pretty sick.
Yeah. That
Nice.
was a fun one. That's a whole story in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. That
We
was
got time.
something crazy. They usually see something like that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I think you'd be really good for this. And then they would just email me.
Nice.
And then I just do a check of like, is this person legitimate? Do I know this production company?
Yeah.
Which I usually do because there's only so few production companies.
Sure.
And I'd like to keep my eye on those things. But they email me and they just go, do you want to do this? And then I go, yeah. And then I'm entered into a lottery system. And
A
then it's
lottery
like,
system. Is that
yeah,
how it works?
it's basically a lottery system. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in many ways. I'm like an actor. It's like they read me a script. They go, you got to audition. Do you want to do it? And then if you get into the audition, then you got to write a deck.
Right.
Oh, so the
And
audition
then-
is the deck
Yeah.
in a sense.
But then they still have to, once they do the audition with the actual script and do the read, you still got to go against all these other actors.
Mm.
I got to go against all these other directors. So it's like a big, every time I win a job, it's basically like winning a lottery. It's obscene,
That's
wild
crazy.
experience.
So when we say step your deck game up, we really mean it because that's what's landing you.
That's what's landing me jobs for sure.
Thought about this a couple times, specifically in relation to what you just said. I feel like part of the reason we're attacking this so blindly with such blind faith is because I think as long as we stick to it long enough, the short tail of people will eventually fall off. Have you found that to be true at all? Like the further you get into your career, the less people you're competing with, or has it changed?
I think it's changed.
Yeah.
I think I am competing against more people, but it's like I'm leveling up
Sure.
right now. I think for a director, it's like once you hit like the 10-year mark, that's when you start to find a sort of steady place, but you have to be able to grind out those 10 years.
10 years is pretty much what I expect. I mean, if you think about school plus your couple of first years at work, that's 10 years. That's
Did you know
what it
that
adds
going?
up to.
Did you know that going in, or was that like a realization sort of midway through? You're like, okay, I gotta like really hunker down for like another 5 years before I really.
I think it was a realization coming into it and meeting more people because I realized a lot of the directors that I know of now that are working very heavily, they're reaching into their 40s, late 30s minimum. And the ones that are really working a lot, they're like fucking like 50, 60-year-old white dudes that have been in the business for like 20, 30 years.
Sure.
Yeah. And they're the people that are killing it.
Yeah.
And they're working the most because they've stuck to it for so long.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, in some weird way, that's kind of at least nice to see that there is something that comes with experience and time and just stick to itness.
There's a reward in the tenure.
I mean, there might be.
As long as you're good at it.
Yeah.
You have
That's
to
a
be good at
prerequisite
it.
for anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're talking about these international budgets. What is the biggest difference between working in Asia versus working in Toronto or Canada, for instance?
Oh, there's huge differences.
Yeah.
Huge
what are the big ones that kind of stand out to you?
Absolutely have to know if I was going to do a commercial project in Asia.
We're actually thinking about it.
The big one is if you're in North America in general, you are shrouded in unions and rules.
Right.
Shrouded in them.
Yep.
And there's a lot of just like, you have to, like, you can only shoot like a 12+1 and anything more is like thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Right.
And then everything's billed to the minute. So it's very intense in that way. So there's a lot of things where like, you know, like I'm just a creative person at the end of the day.
Sure.
I just want to make it the best that I possibly can. And if I want to do a shot that's going to take 5 minutes, can't do it.
Right.
If the producers say no, everything gets shut down.
Right.
And the client don't want to pay for it, then that's it.
Yeah.
But in everywhere else in the world, when I was shooting in Asia, or in Tokyo, everywhere else like Vietnam, like you name it, there's no unions, there's none of this stuff, there's no rules, there's none of that. So it's just the wild, wild west. If you want to make something, you just ask.
Yeah.
And if they say yeah, then you do it.
You know if it's the same in Europe by any chance?
Yeah.
As it's the same as Asia in Europe?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only North America. Literally only North America.
What
And
are we
even
doing,
then,
man?
so it's like mainly
Right.
Canada, I think, is like the big one.
Yeah.
You were very
What-
unionized here. It's very ruled.
We're not going to figure this out here, but what is going on in Canada, man? Like with at least with creative work and funding, whatever. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm sure it has something to do with no private money in this stuff. But I guess it makes sense. There's no return here.
I think it's return on investment.
Yeah, there's
ultimately.
none of that's here.
Yeah.
Sure,
For
fair
sure.
enough.
It's hard. I think it's hard. I talk about this a lot with my, there's this friend I have, he's a colorist. And he has such a unique view on the world and the creative scene because as a colorist, you're sitting there in sessions, meeting directors from all these different places. So you hear all these creative ideas and they bring to you their vision, who they are as people, all those things and their ideologies and the perception of the world. And I think like we were talking about it, it's like, it's kind of just a simple thing of like the rate of consumption, I think.
Sure.
I think is what it is. It's like, for example, right? Like you look at like Europe, the States, Asia, and you're like, why are they so ahead? Right? You're thinking about why they're so ahead. You're like, well, why do they feel so ahead? But it's funny, when I was shooting in Japan, my cinematographer, Kizu-san, Kizu was like showing me references from America and Canada.
Right.
And he's like, you guys are making such cool stuff there. I'm like, you guys are making such cool stuff. Why are you showing me my work? It's like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I think our environment becomes mundane after a while, right? And you start
It
to feel
does.
like it's
So is it a grass is greener thing? Is that what
Grass
you're
is
saying?
greener on the other side. But I think also it is the rate of consumption too, in a sense.
Explain that. I'm not following that.
Well, it's in the sense it's like, think about the sheer population that we have here,
Sure.
right? I think in places like Asia, they're
Mm.
like fucking like 10 times our population,
Mm-hmm.
all right, in one place.
Mm-hmm.
They're just consuming things so much faster. So they're going through trends, going
I
through
see.
aesthetic phases. They're going
Interesting.
through different directions of things. They're going through phases of culture a lot faster
Mm.
than we are. And of
Fascinating.
course, like things have kind of gotten closer with globalization of the internet, and like
Yeah.
our worlds are kind of melding together. But just the sheer, I mean, it's a reflection of the markets too, right? Like just the sheer
Sure.
idea that there's so much more people
Mm.
that are willing to consume, that have to consume,
Yeah.
Mhm.
versus a place like
Mhm.
Canada, makes us be in a very weird spot. It's kind of like we're like in the burbs, you know, versus like in the city,
Mhm.
and like they're like the big city.
Yeah, suburbia, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of that.
Do you prefer that rate of consumption?
Do I prefer that rate of consumption?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think I am a slow person in general, but I think what I like about Asia is that you just get shit done.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you just if you got to do something, you just do it. That's the only option. There's
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it's kind of like, oh, you got to ask for permission. You're like, oh, get approvals. It's
Yeah.
like, nah, fuck that.
It's more of a like ask for forgiveness, not for permission
Yeah,
type of situation out there, right?
There's no
Yeah.
forgiveness, bro.
There's no forgiveness. Yeah, you're going to jail.
yeah. Like even for example, like permits, film
Yeah.
permits here. There's a very strict sense of getting permits here, and we're
Right.
the only place basically in the world that like has a very proper like permitting system.
We do, and it's ridiculous,
yeah,
dude.
It's bad. It
Like,
slows everything down.
It's
a lot.
it's not even just like if I want to put a fence in front of my house, I have to get a permit. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
shit like that. It's like down to the literally to the most minute degree. It's like
Yeah.
you need a permit for literally everything.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
In film, eats up a lot of our time. Like for example, like when I was in Asia, I was shooting in Shibuya Crossing,
Mm.
and it's busy as shit. But this is also very common. I had friends that are like shoot like really big commercials there, like multi-million dollars, and like this is like a thing that actually they do there, and it's very normalized, which was kind of shocking to me. They literally hire an entire crew of people to get arrested, so that the main crew doesn't get arrested because there's no permits. If you want a permit, it'll take you 6 months. But who's fucking having an idea ready for production in 6 months? It's not realistic.
Mhm.
So they just ignore it. So even when I was shooting that piece, that Zeiss piece, we were like right in front of a police station too, and we had escape plans. Literally, my producer was like, "You and Kizu-san are gonna go down this exit. We're gonna go down this exit. We're gonna split this way. You're gonna go that way." And this is the same thing, even on those fucking like big ass multi-million-dollar
Damn.
sets.
Y'all
Even
have
on
fall,
fucking
y'all have Fall
Netflix.
Guys, eh?
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah. I want to know how much the Fall Guys are making because like
I don't know. Yeah.
Career out
I'm
of
desperate
being-
right now. You know, I could be a Fall Guy if you need. Let me know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. That's super interesting, but really weird. But I guess it makes sense. What's the penalty there
The penalty for
if you get busted?
Is it
just
jail time?
Jail time.
How much?
24
How much you
hours?
do?
I don't know. Usually a day.
Okay.
Usually a day, and you got to pay some change. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is
yeah. Good bill, no?
exactly. I
So-
didn't get caught. So.
Yeah. Let's
We're safe.
God,
Do they work the bail price into the budget of the film, or is that like
Yeah,
you guys get for
basically.
that? Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
cheaper to pay
basically.
for the bail then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, it is.
What?
It is. They literally hire people. It's crazy to me. That's one of the things. Another thing that's really big here, and this has to do with the overall like attitude of creatives here, because we're so used to being on a pedestal and having everything taken care of for us, and having all these rules and regulations and getting approvals.
Yep.
When you ask a creative person, for me, it's a cinematographer to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's always three typical answers: no time,
Mm-hmm.
no money,
Mm-hmm.
don't have the gear.
Mm-hmm.
In Asia, it's completely different.
Okay.
Very different. Everyone has that we just need to do whatever the fuck we need to do sort of attitude.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking with Kizu-san, the one thing that he did that really blew my mind, which showed me like what a true experienced cinematographer truly does,
Sure.
is when I'm working with a cinematographer, they're an artist. They're
Right.
creative. They're
Yeah.
not a fucking like tool they're not a wrench that I'm using as a pull it out of my toolbox,
Right.
right? Have a conversation with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work, tell me why.
Yeah.
Let me understand. Is there something else that we can do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing that Kizu-san did for me was he would do this thing where like I would ask him something, and I do this a lot too. So I very much relate to it. I would like not say anything for like 5 minutes, like walk away, talk with some people, and he would just go and like talk with his crew. And then he'd be like, "Okay, Jimmy, we can't do that. What about this? Can we shoot it like this?" I'd be like, "Yes. Thank you for even like thinking about it." Like it wasn't just an instant no. We
Yeah.
don't have money. We don't have time. It was like he thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it
came with a
sounds
solution.
silly,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like the fact that you're thinking about it already shows me how much you care.
Yeah.
And how much you're willing to get things done.
Yeah.
And like that, as a creative person, when I'm a director working with all these other people, makes the project that much better. That's why that project's probably one of my favorites, because the people were just down to make things happen.
That was
Yeah.
that was his
Yeah.
science project.
Shout
yeah,
out
that was a
Kizu-san,
science
man.
project.
Wow.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
you haven't seen that thing, dude, wish I did.
I don't know now. I need to see it. I need to see it. I'm gonna be thinking about all these stories the whole time. Like, shout out Kizu-san.
Yeah.
Made it happen. That's amazing.
All right, so on a way less serious note, are you watching anything right now? Whatever it is.
Mm-mm. Oh fuck! I forgot the name of that show.
Doesn't
It's
have
on
to be-
Apple. It's the one about aliens. 3 Body Problem.
Three Body Problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
I haven't. It's
I haven't
it's
seen
on
it.
the list.
I've heard.
We started a couple Apple shows recently, but we just
Yeah.
watched Severance recently.
Oh, Severance is great.
Severance is amazing.
Fucking great.
Love that
I love
one.
Severance.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
crazy.
Severance. Yeah.
Season 2 coming soon, I think.
This year,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we get like a Mount Rushmore of directors for you?
Or anything. Directors, DPs, actors,
Let's do-
cinematographers.
Sure.
If it's directors you want to do it.
Directors. I don't really have that many directors. There's one. Okay, there's a commercial director that I really like and I really appreciate.
Okay.
His name is Go
Go.
Iromoto.
I just
He's
want to be familiar with the
awesome.
work.
Genuinely just a good human being. The work that he creates is just like very poetic and very beautiful. And I really like him.
Go Hiramato?
Iromoto.
Iramato. Okay.
Go, it's Goh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
He's sick.
I'll have to put it up on the screen or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really like keep
You got
tabs
one?
like
You got-
that.
you
Yeah, I
got
don't
one
really
of the
keep
Mount
tabs like
Rushmore?
that. I just kind of like look at the
Yep.
pieces of work that they make, to be honest, as weird as it is. Yeah.
For
Okay.
sure.
Huh.
I mean,
that's hard.
that's
hard to believe,
that's
bro.
crazy. Yeah, you might be the
No,
first.
I'm an obscure creative, I think. It's
Yeah.
just a lot of people ask me that thing, and it's like I don't really know.
But you
names.
gotta like something. It doesn't have to. You don't have to idolize
No,
it.
this
That's
is like this
different.
is this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah.
Lil Wayne only listening to his own music. You know what I mean? It's, I think
No, no,
Jimmy
no,
just
no,
only
no.
watches his.
No,
own
the thing
shit.
is, I consume other people's work.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Oh, okay.
I consume other people's work, but I don't like put names to it in that way
Sure.
because I
Yeah.
look at
Okay,
it as
fine.
work.
You
Simpler.
let it speak for itself.
Put
Yeah.
5 pieces of work. It could be commercial, independent, feature film. 5
I
pieces
think
of
I
work
think Mount
that stood
Rushmore is
out for you.
4. I think.
Fine, 4.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Who cares? Mount Rushmore is
Matters. Yeah.
Rushmore is irrelevant.
I know
The
we're in
Matrix.
Canada.
That's one film. I
Yeah.
fucking love The Matrix.
You like the Matrix?
Yes.
The
Like the
Matrix.
originals?
That's probably one
Yeah,
of my
okay.
favorite
Yeah.
Rushmore as well.
Okay. Matrix.
There's a lot of like Asian films like Old Boy.
Old Boy's Fire, of
I
course.
said I really like. Old Boy is really good. Yeah, I don't know if
That's
there's
2.
that
You're almost
much.
there. Come on, man.
I got music
How,
things that I
yeah, fine.
like.
Music. Projects.
There's artists that I really like in Asia that you guys should really take a look at
Yeah,
because
hit
they're
me-
doing really great things
hit me with
creatively.
names.
Throw it out.
There's some Korean artist named Hyuko,
Spell it, please.
Hyukoh.
Okay. Hugo.
Go.
Hyuko.
Yeah.
They made an album recently with another artist, with a band actually called Sunset Roller Coaster. They're a
Sunset
Taiwanese
Roller
band.
Coaster, I know.
Yeah.
My Junji was a I ran that record nonstop.
They're when they first made music together and I saw that, I freaked because
Nice.
I was like, "There's no way that 2 of my favorite artists are coming together. They don't even speak the same fucking language. Like, what the fuck? They speak Korean and Taiwanese. It's like
shit, man.
not even the same language, and
Sick.
they're working together. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, Sunset
But
Roller
the
Coaster.
vibe makes so much sense.
Yeah.
When you listen to both of them, you'll understand because they're very like indie,
Yeah.
like feely artists, and they're kind of quirky and a little weird, but
Sure.
like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tight.
Is that someone you want to work with?
That's 3.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah,
One
you need
more,
one.
one more.
Well, that was
One more
2
piece?
No, it
in
wasn't.
one.
No,
No,
it
okay.
wasn't.
All right, one more.
One more.
one more piece. Fuck. I'm thinking about it.
It's the Jimmy V mood board.
Yeah, I don't even know. I honestly don't even know. I'd have to look
It
at
could
my
be
shit.
it could be music, it could be
Fuck.
music, film director. It could be furniture designer. It could be art. You know, it could be anything. Fashion. I know you absorb a lot of culture, so
I don't know if it's one specific artist that I really like per se, but it's sort of like the appreciation of art that I like. It's Japanese culture. It's the way they look at art and they consume art. It's the details and the thought that they put behind everything, and it's within their culture beyond just art in itself, and that's what I appreciate. Yeah,
Was this your first project in Japan?
yeah, it was my first one in
Yeah,
Japan.
okay.
Yeah, it was a crazy story. I shot that in a 17-hour day, one day before my flight, and I made that idea in a single day. I wrote that whole deck in a day.
holy shit.
It's fucking madness.
You're a menace, man.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Jimmy, tell us what you're working on now, and maybe let the people know, like, you know, what you're going to be working on, what they should be keeping an eye on.
Plug anything you're interested
Plug whatever
in.
you
It could be
want.
your friends,
This is
whatever.
the plug
It's a
minute.
plug moment.
I would say keep an eye on the stuff that I'm going to post on Instagram in the next few days.
Next
Oh,
few
next few
days.
days.
Jimmy
Okay.
V, or the coming months.
This
really.
might be
There's gonna
late
a
by
lot
the
of
time
Yo,
you
shit
see
it's
this,
coming
yeah.
out.
Going from days to
Yeah.
months. Come on.
Yeah, we gotta drop this
Days.
tonight. We gotta drop this
I'm
video.
always cooking stuff up.
All right,
So things are actually going to come out. I don't really post on social media that much, but when I do, it's like, oh shit, I'm actually working on stuff. So I'm going to actually start working on stuff.
Yeah, people pay attention, man. People pay
Next,
attention.
next
Yeah.
couple projects local, or are you back out elsewhere?
Yeah, local, I think. I'm
Okay.
just making stuff with my friends.
Nice.
That's the key. Just
Cool.
make stuff with my friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dope. Nice, man.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you for coming through, man. Really appreciate you taking
Yeah.
the time to speak to us.
We'll definitely do this again. Do some more work. Come back. Think about those questions because you know what I'm going to ask you next time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Put them on a piece of paper. Write them on your hand. Whatever you got to do.
It's good. It's good. The next one's gonna be a lot more harder. You know, you gotta be prepared for that one.
Could ask you tougher questions.
I'm ready. Ready to grind
Be
it
on
out.
chess clocks.
All right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.